Hey guys, so this video is a little bit different. I've been asked a lot, I guess, over the years about like personal relationship stuff. Do you have a boyfriend type things? And I've never answered that except like sarcastically and like, yeah, my 19-year-old cat is my boyfriend, whatever. Yeah, it's just I have no desire to talk about that sort of thing. I'm rather private, and my partner is even more so. But I do understand that many have like more general questions with regard to finding a vegan partner, spouse, whatever you want to call it. And I think, I can offer advice in the context of my own experience that may be helpful. So, yeah, I'll talk about how we met and offer, again, like general advice that worked for us. And that's it. If you're looking for like juicy romance stuff, that's not what this is. Sorry. If your partner is not vegan. If you are already in a committed relationship with someone who isn't vegan, don't give up on veganizing them. Work on communication, on listening, and on questioning reasons, rather than just like throwing facts at them, right? And, making them watch Earthlings. As I talked about here, you can't expect everyone. In fact, most people who watch Earthlings are not going to go vegan just right after watching that. I highly recommend learning about street epistemology, really for everyone. Again, this is, engaging with someone respectfully and listening and questioning reasons without getting into a debate about facts. Anthony Magnabosco has a terrific channel devoted to this, and he talks about the methodology in this video here. His focus is on religion, questioning religious beliefs, but as he said in the video, the method can be used to question any deeply held belief like carnism, which I think is actually more important than questioning religious beliefs because it obviously actively harms animals and the planet. To be clear, I am just talking about the usefulness of the technique. I'm not coming down on religion. As I've said before, believe what you want. You're totally welcome here, obviously, as long as you aren't hurting others. Okay, so now on to my top 7 tips and tricks for finding your vegan soulmate. Something like that. Number 1, don't limit your geographic range. As I'm sure you already know, there are very few of us in the world. So if you are limiting yourself to local vegans, it's just pretty unlikely that you're going to really hit it off with the few vegans that you actually meet. The same can be said for, those of us who are atheists, effective altruists, or really any like random sampling of people. So basically, don't take incompatibility with local vegans to mean incompatibility with all vegans. Before his divorce, Vegan Gains, Richard, he gave some really good advice while doing something pretty naive.
My advice for any vegans who are looking for romance and a serious relationship with another vegan, it can be hard. It can be hard to find another vegan because we are few and far between at the moment. But, stick your neck out, and if you see someone online that you like, then message them, reach out, and because it worked out for me. The internet's a great way to meet people. You can't expect the love of your life to live 20 minutes away from you. You just might have to go the long distance route like I did, but if you really love the person, then it's worth it.
That's exactly what happened in my case, except I wasn't the one reaching out. My partner knew of me from my channel and decided to contact me, and normally I would ignore a message like that. But I didn't because, number 1, he didn't send me a wall of text. I have a strict will not read policy on those. And number 2, he said he wanted to chat about a few factual and philosophical misconceptions in some of my videos. I mean, how could I say no? So we started chatting even though we lived very, very far apart. And he turned out to be like the best person I've ever met. The rest is history. The point is, it's pretty silly to expect, the love of your life to live right next door or in the same town or really anywhere, since relationships are about compatibility, not fate. After Richard's video, his relationship kind of soured, as tends to happen, especially with people who aren't very experienced and think it's a good idea to decide to get married before actually ever meeting in person. But I mean, look, that's fine. Sometimes you just have to learn these things firsthand. And ultimately, again, Richard's advice is good advice. Online relationships are great for veganism. They give us real selection where otherwise we wouldn't have any. Again, if you only have a few vegans in your city, what's the likelihood that you're actually going to connect and want to form like a long-term involved relationship with any of them? For me, and I'm sure for virtually all of you, being vegan is just not even close to enough. Agreement with regard to religion, scientific truths, ethics in general is extremely important to me. And anti-GMO, pro-homeopathy, deontological vegan, and we're probably not going to hit it off. Number 2, start as friends and meet in person soon. Learn from Richard. I think it is so important to meet in person before things get too serious and before you start building up crazy expectations, right? My partner and I, we were nothing more than friends when we met in person. We had talked online, a lot, but overwhelmingly it was about veganism, ethics, and just my videos. I guess what most people would consider boring conversation. Whatever you do, please do not become infatuated with the other person and start like naming your future children over Skype. That's not gonna work out. But I get it. It can be so much easier, obviously, to just keep talking online and kind of putting off, meeting in person. I certainly was really apprehensive about meeting in person as well, but if you put it off for too long, you just increase the risk of the relationship either fizzling out, or you give the other person or even yourself opportunity to meet someone in person, and physical chemistry, that's a bitch. Or if you do eventually meet after building up lots of expectations, you may be crushed under the weight of them. That's hard for any relationship to come back from. Also, it's probably best not to put all of your eggs into one basket, so to speak, which may help with infatuation too. Talk to a lot of different people online, make plenty of friends to chat with, and obviously don't take anything for granted until you meet in person. Number 3, don't be so picky about trivial stuff. This speaks to the selection process itself, but also to, physical chemistry stuff. Just don't be too picky. Learn what is really important and what isn't. Learn what others will change, what you will change about yourself, and what isn't so flexible. For instance, I think it's pretty silly to obsess over personal interests. My partner and I are fortunate enough to have many similar shared interests, outside of our values. Like, for instance, our love of fantasy sci-fi films. But he does not share my love of music, and I certainly do not share his interest in water sports. And it really doesn't matter. Interests are just interesting, and if you aren't into something that your partner's into, or vice versa, it may just be because you or they haven't tried it. Maybe once you actually do, you find you like it. So I was terrified of haunted houses. It's just the most pathetic thing ever, but what are you gonna do? It's just the last thing I ever wanted to do. But when my then not yet partner asked me to go to one, I said yeah, and then I dreaded it until we finally went, and it wasn't bad. It was actually kind of fun. I'm not as adventurous as he is, and yes, I'm calling going to a haunted house adventurous. It's whatever. But if I had been open to that new experience, we would not be together today. And this seems to be an ongoing theme of our relationship. He wants me to try something, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. And then I complain about it until I finally acquiesce, and then it's fine, and I even like it. Game of Thrones is an example. Peanut butter pretzels is another one. I hated pretzels for a long time. They're actually pretty delicious. If they have peanut butter in them, that's kind of the important part, I guess. Number 4, be more picky about important stuff. This harkens back to what I said at the end of number 1 regarding values that are important to me beyond just, being vegan. Don't assume that profound differences in the way you each want to live your life are somehow magically going to be ironed out somewhere down the line. That's not to say that you should just write someone off if they disagree on some important point, but I think you should definitely discuss it and come to some sort of, at least some sort of sound compromise before moving forward. Maybe you want kids, but he's an antinatalist, or you're a Catholic, but she's an atheist. This isn't about learning to appreciate Game of Thrones or peanut butter pretzels. These are important aspects of moral and ideological identity. Maybe you're able to debunk the misanthropic philosophy of antinatalism, and so you two are able to come to an agreement on, having a certain number of kids. If not, there just may be no way for you to move forward in a relationship like that. On the other hand, a theist and an atheist may be able to form a lasting bond, a lasting relationship, possibly because of some shared socially rare value, like veganism, for instance, something that holds them together more than their differences push them apart. But it's essential to discuss the potential conflicts that can come from that, down the line, like how are the kids going to be raised, for instance. And again, it is essential to discuss this sooner rather than later. Number 5, be visible. So you could just create an OkCupid profile and sit back and wait for someone awesome to contact you, but it's kind of hard to stand out that way. So instead you can do what I did and just, create a fairly popular vegan YouTube channel and then sit back and wait for someone awesome to contact you. It's pretty easy. Seriously though, doing something productive and visible, within the vegan community online and networking and making friends, it's a great idea. This could mean blogging, making a recipe book, joining a vegan forum and helping people there, or even writing and illustrating a vegan children's book, as Ciel recommended in one of his millions of videos. I would post it here, but I don't know which one. He's too many videos. Just too many. This was actually a big reason why I ended up answering my partner's original message. It's something I didn't mention earlier. I already knew that he was intelligent and vegan and that we agreed on a lot of important points just from his online presence. So, I already found him interesting before we even started talking privately. Number 6, don't obsess over vegan cred. Sort of a corollary to the last one, to number 5, but, vegan cred, whether or not someone's a level 5 vegan just doesn't mean much. How strict a vegan somebody is, or how long they've been vegan, or even how active in the vegan community they are, it just doesn't seem to tell us much about their chance of recidivism. One thing that will very likely decrease recidivism is being in a relationship with another vegan. Even if this person is, not yet vegan, but is still reducing animal products, but you've been vegan, for a decade, it doesn't mean that they are any less committed to veganism to animals than you are. Even a 20-year vegan can return to eating meat. It's not at all unheard of. Number 7, don't give up. So this one's pretty obvious, but if you give up and you just can't be single for a few months or a few years, and so you start dating someone who isn't vegan, then obviously you're not going to find a vegan partner, vegan spouse, whatever, and they aren't going to find you. If you can't be patient, then you may want to focus on veganizing a carnist instead, something I touched on earlier. It's certainly not impossible to find, a non-vegan who is interested and who is sympathetic to veganism, and someone who, with your encouragement and help, could make the change. Obviously, you should be a little bit skeptical. Some people will say whatever they think you want to hear just to get laid. That goes for ladies as well as dudes. But if you do develop a relationship based on someone's claim that they want to go vegan, well, some of us do become the lies that we tell ourselves. That's it. Thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, pretty different from what I normally do, I guess, but hopefully it was insightful nonetheless. Thank you again, and obviously if you want to subscribe, and I will have a new video soon, maybe? It won't be 2 weeks again, I promise.